Alright, motherfuckers. So we're back with the man himself, Henry Mann. Reintroduce yourself, man.
I'm Henry. I joined Jack probably about 5 months ago now. I'm now in a position. I'm in Cape Town with Jack as well.
Yeah, we spent a total of 70,000 on this villa for 1 week in rupees. No, it wasn't. It was in South African rand. Okay, so obviously now we're at a point where Henry has been working with me for 5 months. The last video on my YouTube was after 1 month, I think. Yeah, it was after 1 month. You'd literally just left your 9 to 5. You'd had your fucking $6,000 month. And now we're another 3 months down the line. What's fucking changed, bro?
Well, I mean, I'm not 20, I'm 21 now.
Damn.
Just turned 21 now.
Big
I've hit
man.
Unk status, but
Unk status, yeah.
honestly, I've never been more happy, genuinely. The main thing that has changed for me from that first month to now was I got a lot of clarity on where I want to take my life, and that wouldn't have been possible if I hadn't started out with learning a skill like closing. I was able to get a lot of alignment based on who I want to be because of what closing just teaches you. The way you handle your mind, control your mind, and are so self-aware about your emotions and who you are just allows you to bring yourself to a place where you can fully understand who you want to be and where you are right now and what it's going to take to get there.
Because as a modern day handshaker, as one of the superior handshakers, as you could call it, what impact would you say that learning sales, shaking hands, closing deals, slinging cash, what impact has that actually had on your life in relation to understanding yourself, being able to work through your own limitations and mindset, and off the back of that, what results did you then see materialise?
The main thing that I have seen and how it's impacted my life was just the ability to be so aware of how I am thinking when approaching certain situations. For example, I had a time in my second month when I was feeling super down and out. I don't know if you remember that. But
I do.
yeah, I remember that month I was stressing and I was really worried about my future and where I wanted to take it, amongst like a lot of other things. And the amazing thing about closing and just sales in general is that it's a lot less about collecting cash, slinging deals and making money. That is like kind of marketed on like Jordan Belfort style, like on social media. It's actually a lot more about helping people, and the way it's impacted me is that like I can only expect to help people in the ways I want to help them if I can only help myself first. And one of those things was, I remember I had a conversation with you about like, oh, my results aren't showing, like I'm not making the money that I want to make, even though I'm putting in the work, I'm doing the inputs, doing everything I possibly can, and the results still aren't showing, so why is that? And I will die with this quote for the rest of my life. I'll take this to the grave, because when you dropped this on me, it was almost like my life had just unfolded in front of my very own eyes. And the quote is, like, you are not a reflection of your results, but your results are merely just a reflection of you. And that has stuck with me since that day, and is genuinely something I live by now, because it was such a game changer with how I approach my life from that point onward.
What changed about the way that you approach your life after understanding that your results are a reflection of the level of development that you have?
I started focusing on myself rather than the outcome. I remember, or up until very recently, I was someone who was very attached to the outcome, even though I wasn't really aware of that. I was very attached to the outcome, looking at all the cars that I wanted, seeing all the flashy materialistic things that I saw on social media, seeing all the crazy life that people were living that I really wanted to live as well. And I was just so attached to it. But I realised that I hadn't once thought about what kind of person it takes to become someone like that.
So what do you feel, since then, what do you feel has changed for you from like an actual like income, monetary perspective, personal growth perspective? Like what, as an outcome of you changing the way that you think and living by that quote of your results are only a reflection of you, what has significantly been different about them before?
I found that the results started to follow as soon as I focused on myself. For example, my first month, when I was reminded of that by you, I remember in those first 2 weeks, I had collected like 4.5k cash in entire 2 weeks, and then the next 2 weeks, 60k cash, and the difference was 1 to 1.
Yeah.
Which I find so crazy. And I remember thinking to myself at the end of those first 2 weeks, panicking and worrying. I was just like I had debt that I had to pay off, and I was like, I was super worried about what I was gonna do. My back genuinely had felt against the wall, and as soon as I switched that, the results started showing. Because I was more focused on the man I need to be in order to become that person, rather than just the results themselves.
Sure. And for those who don't know what 5k cash means or 50k cash means, basically you, as a closer, handshaker, deal slinger, piff printer, you get 10% of whatever cash collected you do. So in the first 2 weeks, what would that have been? $450 basically. Yeah, it's like 300 quid.
Yeah.
And then in the last 2 weeks you made $6,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, off one hour conversation.
Exactly.
And it's interesting, isn't it, it's interesting how one conversation can completely change the trajectory of your life. And the reason why I believe that is because you have a lens of perspective that you choose to look through. And when you change how you look at things, what you're looking at actually changes. For example, if you look at a Rolex, for example, as a watch, then you're always just going to see it as a watch, a added piece to your outfit, something to like outfit max and fucking raw dog max your lifestyle, whatever the fuck you want to do, right? So you look cool when you fucking land in a helicopter or whatever. Or if you look at it as an investment, you're going to look at it as an entirely different object. As one example. Fuck, where was I going with it? The conversation, how you see things, yeah. So like basically what do you feel that you've changed? Better question for you. What perspective have you changed in the way that you look at things that will continue to allow you to grow, rather than a perspective that you had before that kept you stuck?
As in other than the one I mentioned?
Yeah, like kind of if we look before, like before you even got any results, before you even made $1 fucking online, and you look to now, where you can easily make 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10k a month within like your first fucking single hand amount of months of being online in the first place, like, and you look at how you perceive things then, and you look at how you perceive things now. In what way do you perceive things differently now that's got you to the position that you're in, rather than keeping you rather than old perspectives that kept you stuck before?
I think the main thing was that I believed I could continue with a level of fear and doubt in my mind. I thought I could continue with that in my mind, still do a lot of hard work and still make it. And it takes me back to our first call together and our first conversation. And I realised that no matter how little I consider it to be, if it's affecting my approach and it's impacting my progress towards the person I want to become, I'm never going to get to where I want to be.
Sure.
And I always thought to myself, right, yeah, no, I mean, like, obviously everyone has this fear of failing or this fear of not succeeding and not achieving the goals that they want. Like, that's what I was telling myself in my head, and I was like, as long as I have that, but as long as I work hard, it'll be fine. And that's how I approached my life for the majority, pretty much up until I met you. Like, 19 years of doing that same thing over and over again. Same thing, like, with having results on a pedestal. Like, I did that all for 19 years. 20 years. And like those perspective shifts, especially the one where like fully overcoming and letting go of that fear and just not being afraid to do whatever is necessary and taking absolutely every single action necessary in order to get the result that I'm looking for was one of the biggest ones as well.
I had a question in my mind, but it slipped. Fuck. Yeah, so here you go then. When you look, this is the question I was going to ask you, okay, cool. Because if you met the version of you who was fucking 19 years old, and he met you now, and he was sat here and he was speaking to you, what would he say to you?
19 years old.
How would he feel? Describe the conversation, what would it be?
Man, when I was 19 years old, literally just basically after my birthday had gone, it was November 4th last year, a year ago pretty much to now, where I had like first tried something online. And that person, if he was sat across from me, the kind of conversation we'd have is, he would probably ask how the fuck I did it, or how the fuck I ended up even here. He would look at me and just be in awe of what I've achieved. And to be honest, he frankly wouldn't believe that I actually made it this far in a year.
When you say the word achieved, it's a strong word, because I mean, if you're anything like me, which I know that you are in a lot of ways, well, you're not like me, like you're like yourself, but we have similar qualities and traits. There's most likely elements of your life that you felt underachieved in, right? In different areas along the way, perhaps you felt very much underachieved for many years of your life, knowing that you could have done something, but there's always that like kind of level of dissatisfaction or level of underachievement that you felt. Did you feel it? You felt that? Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
In what way would he feel when he saw that you had actually gone on to achieve something, and it wasn't that level of dissatisfaction? Whilst it still might be there, it's not there from a place of you've got fuck all. It's from a place of look how much more you can get. Like, what way would he feel about you right now?
He would just be proud. He would genuinely be so proud that through all the adversity that I had pushed myself through and everything that I had gone through in this last year, like, genuinely would be so proud of the fact that I made it this far. And yeah, I mean, you're right, like, the dissatisfaction is still there from a place of looking at how much more I can achieve. But if I think back to those goals from what I had when I was 19, and I remember showing this, I actually made, like, at the beginning of January, I remember making a post online on Twitter saying that I would make $10,000 online by the end of the year. And I destroyed that goal, and I hadn't even remembered that I did that until very recently, to be honest.
Damn. So how much money have you made online since you initially first started back in July?
Over $30,000.
Over $30,000 in 4 months, 5 months?
4 or 5 months.
4.5 months. Fucking hell. That's fucking nuts, bro. Like, because for the first 4 to 5 months of my journey, I literally made like zero, nothing. About maybe about 3k. I made 10x the amount that I did in a shorter space of time. And there's many people who have that same issue, right? Like, even now in the high ticket space, in the sales space, there's more competition than there ever has been before. But there's also more offers than there ever have been before. There's more places to sell. There's more ways to make money.
Definitely.
Like, yes, it's more competitive, but there's never been as many ways to make money. So from your perspective, from the people that you speak to, because I know that you've got a lot of connections and good connections at that, what is the one thing that you see people let get in their own way of their success?
It's definitely acting in line of scarcity.
Elaborate.
And when I say that, is the actions that they take based off of having a scarce mindset. And like, what that is focusing on the lack of and being very attached to what you have as well, and not willing to just let it go. And it's a thing I've seen so many people just they get so attached to the version of themselves, especially in the space that they've built up, that they're not willing to sacrifice that to become someone new. And I actually do find a lot of people get in their own way from like that self-defense mechanism of ego and almost trying to kid themselves, expecting that they want to change but not breaking their walls down to do so.
So how is it that people need to break down their walls that they let get in the way of their own success so that they can be successful?
Definitely accepting that there is a better version of you out there.
Mm.
Because once you understand and fully grasp the weight of how much more you can achieve and what you can and are capable of achieving, those walls come down. Because, I mean, if you truly want to change and truly want to get better, those walls will naturally come down.
Mm.
I just find that a lot of people will put this ego in the way of themselves and not be willing to learn something new or to understand something new, no matter how foreign it may feel. And I've seen so many cases of that, and I just think to myself, like, if you just like let down your walls and sacrifice this version of yourself that you built up in your head and did everything possible to change and become someone new, you could be so much more.
Sure, because there's a lot of different ways that people can be more. And so the question I always like to ask now at the end of these is like, if you look back at this video in 12 months time, where do you want to be looking back at this video, looking at you through that lens?
Beyond the dream cars that I've told you about, the dream life and the materialistic stuff that I do enjoy, don't get me wrong. Beyond all of that, I definitely want to make sure that mentally, physically, I am who I say I am and who I want to be. I think that has come to me as of recent, because what a lot of people won't know is how much I sacrificed to even get here. Relationships, health. I sacrificed a lot to get this kind of result, and I realized that especially my health and relationships, I shouldn't have sacrificed that. But you could also argue that it was part of the journey of me even getting here. But I definitely, as of recent, want to make sure that in every aspect of my life, I act in line with who I want to become.
That's fucking sick. The traditional handshake.